The United States appears to slowly be moving to open up trade with Cuba and to an easing of the blockade. The U.S. Treasury has now issued new regulations on travel, telecommunications, business operations and banking, as well as remittances in the island. Under the new rules, U.S. companies will now be able to open up offices, stores and warehouses in Cuba. They will also be allowed to open up telecommunications and internet services between the two nations. The move comes as Washington and Havana are warming their relations.
And the goal of some of these policy changes is to deepen our engagement with the Cuban people. I'll just cite one example, and this is something you can get more detail from the Treasury Department on, but some of the policy changes enacted today relate to telecommunications and internet-based services. Ensuring that the Cuban people have greater access to information is one way that we can give them greater opportunity, certainly more exposure to the kinds of values that we prioritize in this country, and we believe that will be in the best interests of our goal of empowering the Cuban people.
Telecommunications devices can now be loaned and leased, not just sold. Telecommunications companies can now open a physical presence on the island. They can actually open a retail office in Havana. Of course, the Cuban government has a key voice in this. They have to allow these activities on their side, but at least these steps will make it easier for U.S. businesses it removes an obstacle on the U.S. side to get involved.
It is very good for the Cuban people and for those that are there in the U.S. too, so that they can help their relatives. I think that the normalizing of relations between the U.S. and Cuba is the best thing that could have happened, and I hope that the people of the two nations come together and the governments too. We do not need to be in opposition with each other. I am very happy with the relations they are achieving, and the measures the U.S. government is taking are very good for the Cuban people.
And as Cuba prepares to welcome Pope Francis on Saturday, nearly 200 pilgrims have set off from Miami to Cuba to take part in the 3 days of celebrations. Many of them are Cuban-American believers who are visiting the island for the first time in decades. The recent thawing of relations has made it easier for Cuban-Americans to visit the island.
This for me is a dream fulfilled, a dream to be able to go back to Cuba with my mom after so many years, and a promise kept, a promise that I made to her to be able to do this trip together.